Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another installment of the Now Review. And this time we've got another yearbook to take a look at, and I think in terms of the yearbooks, it's one that many of us were not expecting for some time. For today, we're going to be taking a look at the 4CD Special Edition and the 3LP Vinyl Edition of Now Yearbook 1992. So you might be a bit surprised if you're unaware of this coming out. With the yearbooks, we'd gone as far as, obviously they started in 1983, we'd got as far as 1986 and as far back as 1978. But when Now announced this, 1992, you think, hang on, we've jumped a whole bunch of years there, some great years as well, from 87 to 91. Why have they done this? Well, Now's kept quiet on that. They haven't really explained why they've done this. People have speculated. There's numerous theories as to why they've done this. Maybe we'll touch on those a little bit later. But regardless of that, this is what we have, Now Yearbook 1992. So, without further ado, let's take a look. We'll start, as we always do, with the Special Edition CD release here. I always preface the yearbooks by saying this, but there is a Standard Edition 4CD that you can check out if you so wish. It is a few pounds cheaper than the Special Edition. However, it is in like the standard CD cases you get for the Nows. It's not in like the hardened book spine format. There's not the booklet inside with the information and such. So, just to keep that in mind. So, the Special Edition, let's have a look at that cover. So, the colour this time is sort of a, well, it's sort of like a greeny blue. I'd go more green, though. It's got that faded tone that we've seen on some of the past yearbooks. So, at the top there, it's its most green, I'd argue, before segueing into like a bluish green colour. It's not too bad. It actually gives me vibes, and the font helps this as well. But if anyone in the UK remembers the TV show Get Your Own Back, I'm not really sure why, but I'm getting those sort of vibes, like UK 90s kids TV shows sort of things. So that's the vibe I'm getting here. In terms of the title, you can see that the Now is encapsulated in this cylinder, which they have indeed used for a lot of 90s releases, and it does give me a very 90s vibe, especially like the, you know, the silver metal sheen, you know, the shininess that the 90s had, especially in the pop scene. The fonts, like the font that's used for, well, all of it, Now, Yearbook, and 92 is a very 90s font. You know, you go back there and you look at a lot of stuff, it used this font. It was seen as very cool back then. Very cool indeed. So great to see it here. A true representation of what the early 90s was like, I suppose. So this is the Special Edition. You can see from the spine it is a bit more chunkier. It's also more solid than your standard CDs, so hopefully a bit more durable as well, as all of these Special Editions can be. But let's flip it on around now and take a look at that all-important track list. So, CD1, we kick off with George Michael and Too Funky. Shakespeare's Sister with Stay, which is a beautiful ballad, one of the best of the decade in my view. The KLF with America, What Time Is Love. They don't often pop up on Now releases, so nice to see them here. You have U2 with Even Better Than The Real Thing, the Perfecto mix. You have Jimmy Nail with Ain't No Doubt. Take That with one of their earliest hits, Could It Be Magic? Of course, they hit the scene in 1992. You have Kylie Minogue with Just Give Me a Little More Time. Charles and Eddie with Would I Lie to You, a cracking tune from 1992 for sure. You have Shanice with I Love Your Smile. You have En Vogue with My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It. Tasmin Archer with Sleeping Satellite. Tori Amos with Crucify, the remix. Annie Lennox with Why, again, another beautiful ballad. One of the earliest ballads I remember hearing as a wee little kid, and it's one of my favourites to this day, so really glad that's here. You have Sade with No Ordinary Love. Mark Almond with The Days of Pearly Spencer. Boy George and The Crying Game, a really nice updated cover with some production from the Pet Shop Boys there. Electronic with Disappointed, another PSB link there. Heaven 17 with Temptation. This is the Brothers in Rhyme remix edit, and that song was originally a hit in 1983 and consequently appeared on the very first Now album. And Tears for Fears with Lad So Low, Tears Roll Down. Didn't know they had a song in 1992. I'll be curious to check that out. But that is 19 tracks on CD1. CD2 kicks off with the boss himself, Bruce Springsteen and Human Touch. Bon Jovi with Keep the Faith. Iron Maiden with Be Quick or Be Dead. Ugly Kid Joe with Everything About You. ZZ Top with Viva Las Vegas. Roy Orbison with I Drove All Night, Richard Marx with Hazard, Patti Smith and Don Henley with Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough, Mr. Big with To Be With You, very surprise like pop rock hit there, Chris Rea with Nothing to Fear, Elton John with The One, which was the title of his album of the same year, cracking album as well, Sophie B. Hawkins with Damn I Wish I Was Your Lover, Texas with Tired of Being Alone, Tina Turner with I Want You Near Me, Des'ree with Feel So High, Irma Franklin with Piece of My Heart, Simply Red with Lady Godna's Room, Julia Fordham with Love Moves In Mysterious Ways, And we round off with Lisa Stansfield and All Woman. Another 19 tracks there. So CD3 then, we have Snap with Rhythm is a Dancer. You can't talk about 1992 popular music without mentioning this song. Long-time viewers of the channel will know the significance of that song for me. One of the best dance songs, one of the best songs ever. Absolutely. You have The Shaman with Ebenezer Good. Again, another cracking dance track from that era. Utah Sates with Something Good. Two Unlimited with Twilight Zone. So much Eurodance, man. Gloria Estefan with Miami Hit Mix. Dr. Alban with It's My Life. Another banger of the dance scene there. KWS with Please Don't Go. Undercover with Baker Street. CeCe Peniston with Finally, the 7-inch choice mix. Kim Sims with Too Blind to See It. Dina Carroll with Ain't No Man. Paula Abdul with Vibology. Opus the Third with It's a Fine Day, Primal Scream with Moving On Up, Deacon Blue with Your Town, The Cure with Friday I'm in Love, Suede with Metal Mickey, Manic Street Preachers with Motorcycle Emptiness, Paul Weller with Oh Yeah, Always There to Fool Ya, Simple Minds with Love Song, and we round this one off with Suey and the Banshees with Face to Face. 21 tracks there, which means we've taken our total to 59. CD4 then kicks off with arguably the biggest hit of 1992, Whitney Houston and I Will Always Love You from the Bodyguard film soundtrack. Stayed at number 1 for a very long time, that did. Vanessa Williams with Save the Best for Last. Lionel Richie with My Destiny. Kylie Minogue makes a second appearance on this album with Celebration. Take That also make a second appearance with It Only Takes a Minute, another one of their early hits. E17 with House of Love, one of my favourite early hits of theirs. Criss Cross with Jump. MC Hammer with The Adams Groove, John Cicada with Just Another Day, Annie Lennox with Walking on Broken Glass. So glad this is from the same album as Y, and again, another big banger. So glad that's here as well. Bananarama with Moving On, Belinda Carlisle with Little Black Book, Kim Wilde with Love Is Holy, Roxette with How Do You Do, Go West with Faithful, Crowded House with Weather With You, 10 Sharp with You, Simply Red with For Your Babies, Wet 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 and Goodnight Girl. And we close off with Shakespeare's Sister once again with Hello, Turn Your Radio On. So 20 tracks there, which means in total we've got 79 tracks across 4 discs. And we'll talk a little bit more about the track list in just a second, but as we always do, let's open this up and see what we've got. As this is the special edition, you can see that the discs are housed individually, like covered, and I'll show you what these look like now. So CD1, that you're going with the gradient again. So CD1 is this very like vibrant green. CD2 starts to change, as you can see, still greenish but going more towards blue. CD3 really starts to look more blue compared to the rest, and then CD4 definitely is blue, if you ask me. So yeah, I like the gradient effect. I've always appreciated that effect, so nice to see it here. Nice to see the logos are the same as well on each of these discs. And with the special edition, you get the booklet. So inside, you get a little introduction to 1992 as a whole, like what was going on in that year, what was going on the music charts. I mean, a whole lot of variety by going off the track list. And a lovely feature that used to be standard, as I always say, you get information about each of the songs featured on this album. You get information about the artists that created them, that sang them. You get information about how they did on the charts back in 1992, a little bit about the albums they came from. It's just really nice to see. I always say it's a shame that it is now confined to like being a bonus, but I am glad it is here in some form. I'd always take that, like a physical information booklet on a disc. And we've got the quiz. You can't forget the quiz. Honestly, the quiz is, it's so humble, like it doesn't need to be there, but it is there, and I'm glad it's there. So we all like a good quiz, don't we? So the quiz is featured as well. You get images of all the single covers for these songs, which is always a nice touch, I think, as well. And then you get more production information before the other discs. So that's what you get inside, same as all the other special edition yearbooks, so that's always nice to see. So what about this track list then? Well, I love, for one, how it shows just how honestly how varied 1992 was. Like, as you can see, there was a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, genres like dance and Eurodance were really hitting their stride in 1992 and would only continue to do so for the next few years, so I'm glad that has a fair chunk of representation. You've got artists from the 80s sort of trying to, I guess, transition into the 90s, particularly on Disc 4, artists who are mainly associated with the 80s, like Bananarama, Kim Wilde, Go West. It's nice to see their 90s efforts turn up. Interesting that a lot of artists, or I say a lot, a handful of them get 2 tracks on here. Artists like Kylie Minogue, Take That, for example, Simply Red, Shakespeare's Sister. You don't often see that. You do sometimes in the yearbooks, but it seems to happen more and more But yeah, as always with the yearbooks, I like how they are yearbooks by that definition, that they're not just focusing on one particular genre. They're trying to give you a selection of everything that was popular that year, which isn't hard to do, really, when you're trying to summarize that into 79 tracks. But I think they do a pretty good job. Are there some big hits from 1992 missing? Probably. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think what, but I'm sure some of you in the comments will be able to. I mean, in 1992, Madonna's Erotica album came out, and obviously she was the queen of pop around that time. Now, what track would you put on here? I don't know, but there's always some artists that aren't going to be featured on these albums. I mean, Michael Jackson's Dangerous had came out the year before, and some of those were big singles in 1992. So yes, there are some things missing, but I think the selection you get here is more than varied enough to pique your interest. And, you know, something here for everyone, I'd argue. Since this is the CD compared to the vinyl, this has the full track list here. And I'd say, you know, as usual, if you want a bit of everything, if you want to delve into 1992 and all the wonderful facets that were going on in the popular music scene, then absolutely pick up the CD. The special edition I'd only really recommend if you want the additional information that's presented in the booklet. If you're really not bothered about that sort of stuff, then just go for the standard edition. You're going to save yourself a bit of money, and it'll probably be easier to get your hands on later down the line if you don't get it now. The special edition CD retails for, well, various prices depending on where you shop, normally between the range of £15 and £17 these days. If you're ordering it online, just make sure where you're getting, you know, whether they charge for postage or not, because that'll add on to your price. You can get it from HMV, which is where I get all my Now albums, but you can get it from other places as well, your local independent music retailer. You can get it from supermarkets if you're lucky, though I doubt you'll find the special edition there, but who knows, you might get lucky. But that, my friends, was the special edition CD, which means it's now time we delve into the 3LP vinyl. So as you can see, the cover is the same as they always are, just blown up. I always like the vinyl covers that they're much bigger. For someone without the best eyesight, vinyl covers are a absolute godsend. So without wasting any more time, let's have a look and see what be on this album, shall we? So LP1 side A, we have George Michael and Too Funky, The Shaman with Ebenezer Good, U2 with Even Better Than the Real Thing, Annie Lennox with Why, Richard Marx with Hazard, and Bon Jovi with Keep the Faith. So just 6 tracks there on LP1 side A, and a real mix from what we're seeing on the CD discs for sure. LP1 side B, you have the KLF with America, What Is Time Is Love, The Cure with Friday I'm in Love, Heaven 17 with the new version of Temptation, Electronic with Disappointed, Boy George with The Crying Game, Mark Almond with The Days of Pearly Spencer, and Elton John with The One. Again, another interesting varied mix there. 7 tracks, meaning you have 13 tracks on LP1. LP2 side A kicks off with Bruce Springsteen and Human Touch, Sophie B. Simmons with Damn I Wish I Was Your Lover, Patti Smith and Don Henley with Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough, Manic Street Preachers with Motorcycle Emptiness, Paul Weller with Uh-Oh, Oh Yeah, Always There to Fool You, Simple Minds with Love Song, and Tears for Fears with Lad So Slow, Tears Fall Down. So that is 7 tracks on LP2 side A. LP2 side B, you have Snap, Rhythm is a Dancer, you have Dr. Alban with It's My Life, Charles and Eddie with Would I Lie to You, Shanice with I Love Your Smile, En Vogue with My Lovin', CeCe Peniston with Finally, Dina Carroll with Ain't No Man, and Lionel Richie with My Destiny. So 8 tracks there. So 15 tracks on LP2. LP3 then kicks off with Shakespeare's Sister and Stay, Tasmin Archer with Sleeping Satellite, Tori Amos with Crucify, Crowded House with Weather With You, Ten Sharp with You, Simply Red with For Your Babies, and Lisa Stanisfield with All Woman. 7 tracks there. LP3 side B then, we have Jimmy Nail and Ain't No Doubt, Take That with Could It Be Magic, Kylie Minogue and Give Me Just a Little More Time, Roxette with How Do You Do, Go West with Faithful, Wet 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 and Goodnight Girl, Vanessa Williams with Save the Best for Last, and we round off, quite appropriately I think, with Whitney Houston and I Will Always Love You. So another 15 tracks on LP3 there, which means in total, folks, you have 43 tracks, 43 out of the 79 on vinyl, so that's more than half, which is always nice to see. In terms of the discs, I will show you what one of these looks like. Now, the Now website seems to have a habit of, showing what these discs look like as placeholders, and then people argue the colours aren't exactly the same. I'll leave that for you to decide. Again, my eyesight's not the best, but as you can see, they're presented in this very vibrant green. Again, I kind of think of this as like slime green. This sort of gives me the vibe of like early 90s, kids game show where like gunge or slime is involved. So from an aesthetic point of view, I think they've chose exactly the right colour for 1992, to be honest. So yeah, 43 tracks out of 79. If you're going for the vinyl again, I'd just make sure that these are the tracks you'd specifically want on vinyl. It's a shame they can never put all of them on there. I mean, that'd become very expensive if they did that for all of them. But if you're happy with the selection of the 79 that have made it on here, then absolutely, the vinyl is for you. As always, it retails for between around £30 and £33, depending on where you get it. Same places where I said you can get the CD, you can get the vinyl from here. As always with the vinyl though, some places say this is limited edition. I'm still not sure how true that is. I remember early in the yearbook days they say only a few thousand copies would be pressed on vinyl. Not sure how true that is, but these do tend to fetch a bit more than their market value on the second-hand market over time. So if you want the vinyl for this, I would get it sooner rather than later. So in summary then, whilst Now Yearbook 1992 was a bit of a surprise when it was announced for us all, I think it still lives up to the yearbook's ambition of trying to give us a damn good flavour and variety of what the year offered us in terms of music. You've got pop, you've got dance, alternative, rock, a whole bunch of stuff going on, as quite rightly what happened in 1992. This is probably one of my favourite yearbooks we've had so far. I mean, I love like the late 80s music, but obviously I'm a 90s kid at heart as well. Like the 90s was the decade I was born. So that decade of music, even though I wasn't around to experience a lot of it at the time, it's still, I still grew up with it in many respects. And the track list on here, for me personally, is more than stellar. And the tracks that I don't recognise, the small handful, I'm looking forward to discovering them as well. But that's all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you did enjoy it, please do leave a like on this video. It really does help us out. And if you enjoyed it, why not subscribe to us here? We'd love to have you aboard. And let me know in the comments down below, are you going to be picking up Now Yearbook 1992? And if you are you getting the standard CD, the special edition CD, the vinyl? Let me know what you're grabbing in the comments down below. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martin from AMTV Now. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time for another spin on the turntable.